OOP concept, inheritance and polymorphism. We discussed what is inheritance and polymorphism and abstraction. These three things we discussed: inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. What is abstraction? Hiding the structure and providing the functionality. So generally, abstract classes are used for designing templates, right? So where we use templates? We use templates in rollouts and implementation of modules implementation and the rollouts, we use templates. So we discussed about what is abstraction yesterday. Next, after understanding this, now one more important we need to understand in TypeScript: generics. This is one important concept in TypeScript which is not available in JavaScript. So we call as generics. Actually, generics, why we need, I will explain a small scenario. For example, in real-time projects, data comes from API. We will have API, data comes from API. And when data comes from API, our Angular have to consume and present. Whatever data comes from API, that we have to consume and present. So as an Angular developer, our responsibility is presenting data. So consuming the data and presenting the data. Here, one point is data is not designed by us. We don't design data. Data is done by some other third party. Data is coming from another third party. That data we have to use in project. That means you are not designing data, but you have to work with the data. Then what is the problem regularly is, first we have to understand what type of data is coming. So if any data is coming, first we need to know what is the type. Next, we need to design methods or properties in such a way that they can handle any kind of data. But once they know the data type, they should not allow any another type. That means the question is, initially, we don't know the data type. What type of data is coming, we don't know. Whatever data comes, we have to store in a property. Suppose some value. Now, in that, we need to store data. What type of data is coming, we don't know. Then what should be data type? What should be the data type? Any data type. If you give any as data type, we can store any kind of data into it. That means now I will send 10. After that, into that value, can I store any string? Yes, that should not happen. Until we don't know the data type, it is okay. Once the value comes and we know what is the value coming, then we have to fix to the type. That means we should not allow string. Once we know the data is number, then we have to fix this value to what type? Number type. So if the value that comes is string, if the value comes
Recording in
must be ready
progress.
to accept any data, but once they accept, they fix to the type. This we can handle by using the concept called generics. Generics are used for this purpose. Actually, generic means generic refers to type safe. Generic refers to type safe content with strongly typed nature. It refers to type safe content with strongly typed nature. That means, so a generic type is open to handle any type, until the value is provided, until the
Recording in progress.
and type safe content means it is open to handle any type, and once it knows the type, it will not allow any other type. That is very important. That is the concept of generic. And important is TypeScript can have so various generic members. So method can be generic. Property can be generic. Parameter can be generic. And a class can be generic. it can be generic. So in TypeScript, you can create generic methods, you can create generic properties, you can create generic parameters, and you can create generic classes. That is very, very important actually, generic. So for example, let's see how we can use this, means how to handle the problem, how we can resolve the problem. For example, let's open our project. And here in this project, let's take the TypeScript project. Yep. Now in this, I am creating one method. So let's create a class called demo. In this, there is a method. I'm defining a simple method public. So, and so I will keep the method as some print. And this print method is having two parameters. Suppose A and B. Now important is this print method. So don't have any restriction for data types. Now what we define here is we will make this print to handle any kind of data. How? We have to use an angle brace and define T type. This indicates it's a generic type. Generic type. So after the name that you define, you have to specify this reference. Remember, T is just a reference. You can give any word, X, Y, Z, anything. This is just to tell that it is data type. For data type, what we do, we can write T. Some people have a habit of writing type. Anything okay. So it is not mandatory to mention any specific, but that refers to type. That's the reason traditionally we give as what? T. And this A is of type and B is of that particular type. That means now what is the data type of A and B? It is unknown. Currently data type is unknown. When it is known at the time of allocating memory for this print, you tell what type to handle, it will handle that. That means now I am printing here console.log, just we are printing A is equal to the value of A. And in the next line, B is equal to the value of B. We are printing that. Now here, what we are doing is we are creating let obj is equal to new demo. Through this obj, we are accessing print. While accessing print here, we are displaying into this, we are displaying, we need to mention the data type. What is the data type to handle? We just mention here number, means what type to handle. Then automatically A and B will be numbers. That means it will not allow to handle any another type. So initially they are open for any type. That has to be. Yes, you have any problem? Huh? Is it okay? Because from the beginning of the class you are buzzing.
Recording in
So
progress.
here, now A and B are what type? Number type. So now I added 10 and I added 20. Now we use obj, same print method. This time I pass a string, then A and B become string. That means now print is ready to handle any kind of data. But once you mention the data type, so it is fixed to that type. That means once you know what type to handle, it will fix to that type. It will not allow any another type. That means now A and B must be string only. That means some first name. So here we have last name, something like this. That means generic types allows to handle any type. At the same time, they are strongly typed. That means until the data type is known, it is free to handle any type. Once it is mentioned, it is fixed to that type. You may ask, where do we need like this? That means where we need, let's see, a syntax is we have some public and a print. It is type. A is of the type, B is of the type. One or many parameters, anything you can define. And remember, so here we can configure that simply console.log. So A is equal to the value of A and B is equal to the value of B. Right. These are generic types. So when you access the print and pass a number, then automatically A and B are numbers. When you access the print and pass a string, then A and B are string type. So these are string type. That's how we do. Now let's see how these are used in reality. That means in reality how they use. For example, so we are creating here, means one small real scenario I will explain. Suppose we are having some database and we need to connect and work with database. And to connect and work with the database, here we are having some actions. You see, we have a class database, and here we are having different tables. We have employee table. So we have some student table, some product table. We have different types of tables. Now in database, we want one method in such a way it should work for any kind of table. That means it should be designed in such a way that when it is connected with employee table, it should read employee type only. If it is connected with student, then it should read only student. That means this method must be designed in such a way that it can work for specific. And it will be changing when you are, that means, will you create 3 methods? One for employee, another for student, another for product? No, only one method should work for all 3. Then how do you create a method which can work for all these 3? And when it is working for employee, it should strictly allow only employee. Only employee. In that case, generally what we do here is, see, I will show you a simple concept here. We will create a contract interface I product. In that contract, we have name, string, and price number. Just two details I am giving. And we have another interface I employee. And here we have first name, that is a string. And after that, designation, that is also a string. And suppose salary, so that is a number. Like this we have. Now I am creating a class called service. This service have a method called public, and it have a method called get data. This get data method should be in such a way that when it is working, and it should not allow any other data, contradictory data should not be allowed, then we will make this as generic type. Generic type. Into that, we will pass data. This data will be also generic type. Now, whatever data is passed, we have to print it. That means now what we will do, we will use a for, where, property, in, what is it? Data. Console.log, we are going to print the property. Property, and we will put a space. Here we will put colon, and we will put here the property, data of property. It is going to access the value and property both. Now this service have a method called get data. Now it is a generic type. So what we are doing is, we are accessing and creating an object for which one? Service class. Through that object, I am accessing get data. Into that, I tell that I want to work with employee, I employee. That means the type is employee. Then automatically the data, it is employee type. Understood? That means now I have to create an object. In that object, I am passing name. It is not allowed, because employee data don't have name. Employee data have which one? First name. Am I right? That means strictly you have to enter only those. That means it is first name, some John. And see, it is still showing error, because according to employee type, so it should have designation and salary. That means you need to mention designation. Designation is some manager and some salary. So salary is some salary. So it's a number, something like this we define. Now this is the data. And similarly, obj.getData, and into this I will pass I product type. Automatically it will accept only product type now. That means we create a method in such a way that it is safe to use any kind. But once it knows the type, it will not allow any another type. That means it is open to handle any type. But once we know, it can manage only that type. It will restrict only that type. So it is type safe and strongly typed also. That is what the nature of generic is. And now we need to pass only product type. And here very much important is, see, name, so TV, and price, and some price. Now observe, I am just printing here console.log. This is employee details. Okay, like this, just roughly I'm defining employee details. And here I am defining console.log. So this is product details. Just roughly we are defining employee detail, product detail. Now let's run this and see. So that means we designed in such a way. In terminal I am running tsc index.ts and node index.js, and you can see all the details are here. So that means it is working for employee, it is working for product, it is working for both, right? This is usually how it works. Now interesting point here is it's not just only one type, it depends on how you manage. For example, you see I'm writing here obj dot get data into that I product. It is an array type. If it is an array type, now it will accept array of products. So this is great. That means suppose we are working with API, one request will come with one details, one object. Another request will come from multiple. For example, I will show you a sample API. There is a fake store API website. This is fake store API website. This website contains some sample API for our practice. We can use them. In this website, you see they provide free data to us. See, they have products. What this is doing, it is returning array of objects. Am I right? Now they have another method. It is returning only one object. That means now to handle these two requests, will you create two methods? One detail is coming one method, two details are coming two methods. Another method, no. We only one method can able to handle any. So it can handle both of the generics. So generics is used for configuring. Now you know how to store array. We have to put a square brace in that objects. And every object should be what type? It should be of product type. This is the of working with the sorry. This is the generic type. I will give this example in the classroom. This is generic. Now in this, what you have seen as generic, you have seen method as generic and
Recording in
database is
progress.
used by your projects. We not sure because depending on the company requirements, they may use Oracle, they may use MySQL, they may use MongoDB. Different hundreds of databases are there. Sometimes companies have their own database, right? For example, you have a website connectionstrings.com. This website, you see, these are all the databases available in the world. This is the complete list of database. In software technology, data can be in any of these. To interviews, they know that In Java, you learned Oracle. In .NET, you learned SQL Server. Or in PHP Python, you learned MySQL. What do you think? They ask only what you learned? Then it is not interview. Right? That means you learned Oracle. But what in interview they ask is, they say that I have a data in Excel file, fetch that and show me. Such questions are asked in interviews. The interview is not testing what you learned. Interview is testing what else you know related to what you learned. That means you learned Oracle, they will not ask questions on Oracle. This is not a school or college unit test that from syllabus they will ask question. Right? That means these are the topic chapter 2, questions in chapter 2. They don't ask like that in interviews. That means they ask same concept but out of context. 100%. 100%. That means they will say that write a program in Java to fetch data from a Excel file. Because many projects use Excel file to store data. Several mobile applications, small business, they store data in Excel only. They store data in a CSV file, comma separated file. Right? So that means a developer should know .NET, Java, PHP, Python, how we can fetch data from various sources. Right? You will learn one, but you need to know many other sources also. Because in real world, we need such requirements. Not only that, not only fetching, exporting also. They will say that I have a table on screen. This table data is coming from Oracle that you are showing me on screen, but I want to export this to PDF. That means now you need to write a program that connects to database, gets the data, exports the data into PDF. What do you think? It is not regularly used. Every bank statement uses the same. Am I right? That means bank statement shows you the statement and says export to PDF. That is a common requirement. So that is the reason. Here the point is your application can connect with any database. We are not sure with which database we have to connect. Now tell me, will your technology like Java or .NET will design separate classes for every database? For Oracle, one class. For MySQL, another class. Actually, some technologies earlier were doing like that. Some technologies earlier were doing like that. For Oracle classes will be there. For MySQL classes will be there. They have to import that library classes and use them. But now in the current generation, we can't handle like that. We need one class in such a way which can connect to any database. That means now class must be generic. Class must be generic. Let's see how. So here, this time I am creating a class. Here we have interface. This is iOracle. To connect with Oracle, usually we need username. Username is what type? String. You need password. Password is also string. And database is also string. This is what you need to connect with Oracle. User ID, password, and database. Now we have another interface as suppose, so MySQL. MySQL, so here I have host. Host is a string type. Then we have user. User is a string type. After that, PWD, this is password. is string type. DB is database. This is also string type. Like this we have. And I have another interface, MongoDB. And MongoDB have only URL to connect. It is what type? String. Different databases have different connection strings. I hope you learned in your technology. If you learn Java, .NET, there they will teach you to connect with Oracle. Oracle connection string will be there. Oracle connection string requires certain parameters. Then only it can connect with Oracle. MySQL requires MySQL connection string. The website just now I showed you, it belongs to connection strings. This is connection strings website. It will show the list of all database connection strings in the world. That means a developer, if he have any doubt how to connect with any database, he can visit this website. Instead of Google, because Google takes more time to get exactly what you are looking for. This is one location where you will get collection of all connection strings. And you see, you click on which connection you want. That means Oracle. Then it will show you Oracle connection strings. How to write Oracle connection strings? It will show the list for every purpose. It will show the connection strings for every purpose. So technically what we need here is, we need a class. This class should work for any database. Then database is the class name. And here we will make it as generic type. If class is generic type, entire memory is generic now. Previously, entire class is not generic, only method. Method is only generic. Some generic methods may be there, some non-generic methods may be there. But here it is completely generic. Now here, public, I will create connection string. Connection string, it is generic type. That's how we define. By default, we are not passing anything. Then what we define as null. By default, what we apply into it, null. Because currently we are not passing anything into it. That means either it is generic or it is null. So that means if anybody asked you in interviews like, can generic be union type? Can generic be union type? Yes. So with which type it can be union? It can be with any type, it can be union. But usually here it is null or it is generic. Either not having a value, if having a value, which value? You have to tell. Now this type depends on whom? This types depends on, at the time of allocating memory for this class, which one you tell, it will be of that type. That means the type of connection string depends on what? Depends on class memory. Depends on class memory. Now I want to print this or use this, configure this. Now I can just print the details manually. First, I will show you here. So here we are using, so just public, there is a print method or say connect method. This connect method is an void method. And this method is having for var property in this dot, what is it? Connection string. Connection string. And we will put console.log. So we have to define property and we need to define this dot connection string of what property. That means it will print the values also. Now you can see here, I am accessing LET. Suppose Oracle is equal to new. What is the class? Database. Here we pass generic. It should work for Oracle. That's it. The memory is allocated for the class. Now through Oracle, you access that connection string. You access that connection string property, and you can see now this connection string property, it is what type? It is Oracle type. It is Oracle type. That means we have to pass Oracle values here. What are the Oracle values? Username. Username some Scott, right? So we have password. Password is Tiger. And some database. So some students DB like this. Now I need to print this. Then Oracle dot what connect. Connect will print all the details. This is just I created an object. This is console.log. So I defined that means I will use another MySQL is equal to new database. It should work for MySQL. Then automatically MySQL dot connection string, it will not accept username. Understood? It will be MySQL type now. That means it will be accepting host, some local host. Like user is some root, some pwd password. So suppose DB is database, empdb, something like this. And MySQL dot what connect, it should connect. This is console.log. This is so MySQL connection. MySQL connection. That's how it is configured. Now here we are defining another console.log. So console.log, and we are using so this is MongoDB connection. And MongoDB connection, we need to display here let Mongo is equal to new database, into that MongoDB, and you can see this is the connection. And once you allocate the memory, and automatically you can see here Mongo dot connection string. This expects only one option URL. So MongoDB :127.001:27017. That is actually Mongo connections. So Mongo dot connect. That's how we do. One class is working for different situations. This is what really Genrix is. That means you can create type safe members. They can be ready to handle any type. But once they know the type, they can restrict to that particular type. So now when I run this, everything is same. Let's compile this here. And here we will run. So tsc node, index.ts and node index.js, node index.js. You can see it will display all. That means one class is working for different. Now it is working for Oracle, MySQL, or Mongo connection. This is how we design classes. That means actually these are all concepts for the people who are designing libraries. Actually, you as a developer using libraries, but somebody have to build a library and give to you. Those people use all these techniques for building a library for you. In future, if you have to build any such library, then these concepts are very important to create Genrix, manage Genrix. right? So this is very, very important in understanding the concept of generic. Here we got all the examples. That means a property is generic, method is generic, parameter is generic, class is also generic. If you allocate the class generic, memory entire will be generic, every property will be of that generic. Right? So that is what the concept of generics. That is type safe and strongly typed. Right? So this you have to use regularly in Angular in various libraries, then you should understand. And several libraries are built through generics only. Even in JavaScript also, modern JavaScript libraries are built with generics. I showed you, if you remembered, map, object type, map type, I told you. You see, so you remembered we discussed about a map type. That means map and symbols we learned. LET obj is equal to new what? Map. And see, map is a generic type. It is a generic type. It is a method with a generic type. Right? What this angle brace indicates? Generic. Generic. So it is initially any type, but when you mention it can fix to that type. That is the nature actually. This is basically entire library is built by using these generics, right? Yeah. Next, important is after generics, another one is enumeration, enums. Enumerations. I hope many of your languages have this. Huh? What is an enum? Enum is a collection of related type of constants, but not related type. Here we can have different types. Here different types. That means, so enum refers to enumeration. Enumeration, which is a set of constants. What is the meaning of constants? Every constant must be initialized. And enum in TypeScript can have following constants. What are those? It can have string constant, it can have number constant, and it can have expression constant. Other types of constants are not allowed. Only the 3 types of constants are allowed. So enum is a collection of constants, and the constants can be string or number or expression. Actually, one of the major advantages, enum number constants can have auto implementation. Enum number constants can have auto implementation. So auto implementation is not supported for string and expression, only for numbers. So that is important. That means enum number constants can have auto implementation. That means even you don't initialize a value, it will have a value. So even the value is not defined, they will have a value. That is what actually auto implementation. So, but that is not supported if it is a string constants, right? Usually set of constants, generally in reality where we use is, suppose I will give you syntactically. So enum and name and we have to define a reference with the value. We need to configure a reference with value. Like this, we need to define. So any reference and value you have to define. And if you want to access, we can use name dot reference. That means when we are developing application, for example, I will tell you here, suppose we are having enum. Enum, we have error codes. Error codes is an enum. Error codes is an enum. In this enum, I am defining as, so, OK. OK is equal to, that means in that we say 200. That is the value stored in OK. So, and suppose I have given as, suppose success. And for this, I haven't initialized. I can initialize value, some 202. Just I am defining like this. Now I want to access, then console.log. So here we can access error codes.ok. That means it will return 200. That means, so I'm just giving here, here status code. So for OK. And what is the status code? We have to get error codes.ok. And that means it will return that number. So you can see TSC index and node index.js, and you can see this is the result it is showing. Now important is, if I don't mention for success, then automatically success is implemented based on previous value. Previous value is 200, then this will be 201. The next value will be implemented. That means now you can see, so here status code for, I am saying success. That means here, OK, here I am giving success. And you can see that there is no value initialized in success, but automatically success contains 201 depending on previous. Suppose if there is no previous value also initialized, then value starts with 0. That means OK is 0, success is 1. You can see that directly it is 0 and success is 1. If there is a value, then based on that value, it will apply based on previous value. What is the previous value? Based on that, it will apply. For example, here I am having some not found is equal to 404, like this. Now success is how much? 201, right? That is 201. Suppose I am giving, right, internal error. What is this value? 405, depending on previous. That is how it will manage the values. Suppose success is 201 and OK is not defined. What is the OK value? OK value will be 0, right? The next value only will be incremented based on previous. First value is always set to 0. After that, anything depending on what value you assign. This auto implementation is supported only for numbers. This is just an example I am giving later. And generally, enum is not only for numbers, you can use for string. That means I am writing here, so not found. and is equal to page not found. Like this we are writing. There can be a string constant. That means I written okay. Now, if there is a string constant, you cannot leave empty. That means this must be initialized with value. This must be initialized with value. Now, if it is above okay, it is fine. What is the value of okay?
0.
0. Not found is page not found. You can have a combination of string and numbers. No problem. You can have combination of string and number. So which one you want to access error codes dot I am using not found. Then just we are defining not found like this. I don't need all this. Just error codes dot not found. That means it is going to return the string. Enum can have a collection of string and number both. But string cannot have auto implementation. Only numeric values can have auto implementation. Right? After a string, if anything you are defining, so server error, and it must be initialized with a value, either string or you can define a number. You can define a number. You cannot have empty after string. If it is number, it is okay. Right? Based on the previous value. You can have the combination of both. Right? Another, this can have expression also. That means you see, I'm using some A is 10 and B is 20 and C is equal to A plus B. That's okay. That means here I am writing addition. Addition is equal to, here I am defining error codes dot C. It is going to handle it. You can have an expression in an enum. We can have an expression in enum. You can see this is enum. Enum can have a numeric constants. It can have string constants. It can have expression. Enum, and very important here is, so enum can have, so expression, enum expression must be a numeric type, numeric return value. Expression must be a numeric return value. So, or string. So that means Boolean expressions are not allowed. In many interviews, this question is asked like, which operator is not supported in enum? In enum, which operator is not supported?
Boolean.
That means operator means greater than, less than, greater than or equal, less than or equal, not equal. Why? Because they return what? Boolean. Why enum cannot have Boolean? Why enum cannot have Boolean? Because enum is a constant and Booleans are not constant. Because Boolean can change from true to false, false to true. They are not constant. They have two values changing. So if anyone asks why enum doesn't support Boolean, because enum is constant, Booleans are not constant. So that is the reason any Boolean expression not allowed. That means you say here, so greater than, it's not allowed. So it is not allowed. That is what actually the concept. So enum have a collection of what? Constants. And in many interviews, the question here is, I will give here plus, okay. In many interviews, they ask another question like, so what is enum? Enum supports reverse mapping. Many interviews, they ask this question, what is reverse mapping of enum? In TypeScript interviews, they ask what is the reverse mapping of enum. Reverse mapping is nothing but, so it allows to access a key with reference of value. Generally, we access the value with reference of key. If you can access a key with reference of value, then it is called reverse mapping. Reverse mapping. So, for example, here in error codes, we have not found is 404 is equal to 404. That is not found. Now I am accessing here. So status code, error codes dot not found. This is nothing but it is going to return number. It is going to return the number. That means I will access this and you can see it is going to return the number. I want to return the key. Then what I can do is here, so we can define error codes of 404. That means enum of 404. That means value. With reference of value, usually with reference of value, it can access the keys. The reference of value can access the key. This is called reverse mapping of enums. So enum reverse mapping is nothing but you can access key, you can access values. Actually, this is there for an object also. Object dot property. It will return value. Object of value, you can access the keys. So you saw in operator, na? It is returning both keys as well as values. Right? Technically, this is the concept of working with the enums. Is it clear? So we have these all structures and generics and enums. Next important, after that, one more final concept you need to understand here, modules that we will see in next session. This is enough for today, right? So next session, that is the last topic in TypeScript. Now we are going to start with the Angular. And our next session, as per holidays, Pongal holidays. So from tomorrow, no session. Our next session will be on 19th. If you don't want, come tomorrow. Why? You don't want holidays, huh? No. Right? So you enjoy holidays. After holidays, we are here now. Right? Then we will cover up these holidays. That means, so we will not extend because of these holidays. So we will spend more time in class and we will finish as per the time. Okay? That will not be any effect. Generally, institute holidays are up to 17. And we will have our session on 19. Right? From 19th, we will have session. Up to 18, we have off. Okay? Again, we will meet on 19th. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
in this study.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you and happy Pongal to all. Right?